Mick Jagger has complimented you on your song arrangement. Got any advice on song structure?
You know, my work with the Stones, one of the most fascinating things to me has been how we will bash a song to death. You know, Keith will have some riff or have some chorus. One thing that comes to mind to me was You Got Me Rockin' Now, which is a pretty good rock anthem song. That's all he had. He had, hey, hey, you got me rockin' now, hey, hey, that's all he had. And man, we bashed that thing, and we tried this, and we tried that, and finally, you know, by the time Mick really found his footing on the tune and came up with the verses, and there you had this piece of work that really has stood the test of time. But it didn't just fall out of the sky. It took some bashing, some trying, and some experimentation to get there.
Over your career, can you think of a few magic moments where everything just seemed to fall into place?
One that comes to mind early on in my career with the Allman Brothers Band was the song Jessica. You know, I had just come into the band. I was 20 years old at the time. I was a piano player that was coming in behind a very famous guitar player, Duane Allman, that was really the band leader and was just such an enigmatic, wonderful presence, and you know, fortunately not being a guitar player helped me because I didn't have to try to replace Duane Allman. Nobody could have replaced Duane Allman. But it was nevertheless a position of some pressure. I tried very hard not to think about the pressure and just to play. That's always been my focus, is just to play. Well, anyway, Dickie Betts had written this song called Jessica. He had been listening to Django Reinhardt records, and he was watching his young daughter at play. She was a toddler, maybe 2 years old. And he came up with this song. And so we began to look at it and to organize it and to arrange it. And fortunately for me, it lent itself for a piano feature. It was magical to work with the band on the arrangement. The outcome seemed magical to me. It was a nice solo spot for me, a nice piano solo, and it seems to have stood the test of time. Another that certainly comes to mind that was very magical for me was working with Eric Clapton on the Unplugged record. Eric came to me and he said, do you want to do this on your own, or do you want to look for another keyboard player to join in? I thought about it a while, and I said, you know, I'd like to have it to myself for a while, if you don't mind. He was happy with that. So the Unplugged record was the first thing we did in that setting. And I have to admit, I was a little bit like a coiled up spring, man, because, you know, I hadn't had much solo space prior to that time. And I was sort of let out of the box and released, and I could step up to the plate a little bit. And that was the first experience. And it was a live program, live show, no tricks, no overdubs, no second chances, all acoustic. But just the entire concert, for me, was a very, very special moment in time.
Stranded on a desert island, what albums do you have?
Keith Jarrett, probably the White Album for me. Beggar's Banquet might be in there. There could probably be a Floyd Kramer record. Bill Evans, I would have to have Leon Russell in there. Maybe a Little Richard. I think I'd carry Elton John along there too. So, how many records do I get? Do I get 10, 12, 100? I don't know.
So tell me what you like about Sterling mics.
I've recently been introduced to Sterling microphones. I've experimented with them. I'm working on a new project now, which is a tribute to pioneering blues piano players. In working on this record, I've begun to use the Sterling microphones. We started using the ST55s. What I found is that in the conjunction with the other microphones, they seem to add a certain beefiness, a certain power and punch. They're certainly not too dark in doing that. They have what they add on the low end, and what they add to the punch is a very clear hit, if you will, you know, very precise. The piano is probably the most difficult instrument that you can record because of the range of dynamics. You know, you're going from, you have 88 keys on the thing. You're going from incredibly low frequencies to incredibly high, and they're mixing together as you're playing. There's this just incredible world of a universe of notes and harmonics floating around there, and it's very difficult to capture that. I think the Sterlings do that very well. Recently come to use the ST69s. They have a little more flexibility in that they're switchable from Cardioid to Omni and so forth. The diaphragms pick up the dynamics of the piano very, very well and express that broad spectrum of sound very clearly. And I like to say that it's almost like your head is inside the piano when you're listening to a recording having used the Sterling mics. They're wonderful. Hi guys, Chuck Leavell here, enjoying using my Sterling ST69 microphones that I've just received and had a lot of fun experimenting with. We've tried a few different configurations with these mics. This is one sort of traditional configuration, using them at a 45-degree angle. Cardioid pattern is going to capture just the diaphragm that's facing down towards the string here. And in this configuration, you're going to get, and you might experiment with the exact placement of this, but keeping the mics approximately, what would that be, 6 to 8 inches apart in a 45-degree angle. And it's really a matter of experimenting with each different piano. All pianos are different, and finding the exact sweet spots where you get the full stereo perspective, and also just the coloration that we're looking for in sound. Another way that we use the mics from time to time is facing each other, and without actually doing this, we would close them all the way where they're actually almost touching, and then again with the Cardioid pattern and face straight down. But we've had a lot of fun experimenting with various different techniques. One of the things that I've found that's interesting is to actually take a microphone and place it underneath the piano. You can find a sweet spot there and use that in addition to what you're using up here in the stereo perspective. And sometimes that gives it a little bit more beefier sound. There was no website intelligently engaging an audience on all things environmental, whether it's recycling, whether it's energy usage, whether it's how you can have a lower carbon footprint, hybrid cars. And so we decided we would build it. We have an amazing staff of people that come from places like CNN, National Geographic, WebMD. We have a very clean homepage, very clean presentation. And the goal is to be the best in the world. I think we're getting there, and I'm just very grateful that we can engage the world with the Mother Nature Network.